Hello everybody, welcome back to episode 3 of Let's Play Creatures Such as We with Trillian. I'm Trillian, and we have just clicked over to the next screen. Sorry, I did that before I started recording, but we have decided to send the puking man off with a steward and stay here with the group and try to smooth things over. It's your job to deal with making sure that all the guests are comfortable, and there's nothing more discomforting than witnessing another person's distress. As another steward escorts Grant off, you address the group. While rare, it can happen that some people get an upset stomach on the trip over. It's definitely not the most fun way to start out a vacation, but we have the best medical facilities that money can bring over. I'll catch him up on the amenities later. Your feigned lightness is good enough to fool them. You're met with nothing more insidious than disaffected stares. Really, you have no idea why he got sick, and that is scary. All the precautions should have prevented regular motion sickness, but you need to stuff those doubts down and launch into the tour. So, let's see. We have standard. Well, these people are important. We want to give them better than standard. Scientific. I don't think they'd be that interested. Brooding. No. If we want them to make a game out of me and the moon base, then we definitely want to give them the romantic introduction. And make it all seem cool and epic and beautiful. So you definitely want to make a game out of this place. You assume a mischievous smile. When space travel first became commercial, moon dust was believed to be an aphrodisiac. While I don't agree with that property, I will say that the moon has its own beauty, mystery, and allure. It will give you the ability to see beyond yourself, to connect with the whole rest of the universe in a way that's just not possible anywhere else. It truly is one of the most beautiful experiences you can have in your life. You pause and widely smile at everyone. You hope it was theatrical enough to be distracting. Next, you point to the gift shop, trying not to cringe at having to deliver Space Joy's mandatory money spiel. Most of you have already had a chance to check it out, but you can find pieces of the trip that you can make into your own personal reminder of your time here. For convenience, all the items in there are display only. You'll be able to pick up any purchases when you return Earthside, even moon dust. You wink. Diana yawns while Saudry whispers to Andres about something from the shop. Ren tilts her game system at a strange angle as she taps and swipes at it. You relax a bit. They're fine. You just need to get through the rest of the tour. Technically, the first room you visit would be the med bay, but you know better than to follow on the tail of a sick guy. Where should you show them around instead? Okay. Common rooms, recreational activity, and staterooms. Let's do recreational first. We'll start with like the most, wow, look what you can do here. And then the sort of, here's a place you can hang out, and then like put them away in their rooms, I think. Be a good order. You lead them past the closed airlocks, describing the fun activities that will take place under Space Joy supervision. The gym and pool room, which will be filled with water by tomorrow, and the moonwalk prep room. You gesture to a window that shows off the brightly lit moonwalk area, and you take a break to let them crowd around to get their first real glimpse at a truly alien surface. It's a moment most tourists really get absorbed in, and almost everyone in your group gawks out with appropriately enraptured expressions. Ren, however, scowls at the view. I never realized that the dust was so reflective. There's no way you could make that lighting look good. She returns to her device, glancing up occasionally. Saudry jams her hair behind her ears in determination as she turns to Ren. I think that, well, technology makes up for what we can't do ourselves. Ren gives a wry smile. Yes, but exactly how does that happen? She turns to you. You must take photographs up here. How do you account for all the glare? Okay. I'm impressed you noticed the glare. That's the fangirly one. I've been being a little fangirly, but we treat it like snow. The conditions are similar. We run all shots through post-processing programs. Surely she would know about that, so she's already discounted that. We take 2 shots with different settings and merge the 2. I have no idea if that's true or not. Actually, I have a friend who does planetary imaging, and I should ask her if that's even remotely possible. Well, then it seems like it would be like snow, right? So let's do that. I don't know anything about this. Sadri points out the window. You see? This place, it feels so exotic, so different. But it's all just the same as back on Earth. The same problems, the same solutions. It all breaks down just the same. Ren seems unimpressed. Except on the dark side, there's no sun. And even with light, I'm sure the angle is all wrong. Then the lack of atmosphere, the lens of oxygen in your helmet against the vacuum, all the details are wrong. It's an uncanny valley. Sadri rolls her eyes. Well, yes, but consider that metrics say that half the people don't even adjust their screen resolutions. They don't notice. You may be overestimating the importance of perfect graphics. Just figure out a way to make it work. Ren shrugs and presses her face back against the glass, while the rest of the tourists seem to have lost their interest in ambient gawking. It's time to move on. You get the attention of the group. Well, shall we continue? Let's do common rooms next. You drag them past the open airlocks that lead to the common areas, the meeting room, the observatory, and the museum. You describe each as you pass, but you always like to pause in the museum. It makes the tour feel more refined. Ren starts immediately snapping pictures of everything, while Diana traces her hands in the air above the old suits. James and Sadri laugh over a push-button activated replica of a moon rover claw. Andres walks around aimlessly. You can tell that he's already bored. Diana pulls you aside. Hey, these suits are all pristine. Don't you have anything older, tattered? Andres abandons his pacing to throw in his opinion. I'd rather hope that they should be a little more durable than that. He looks at you somewhat nervously, then presses you. They are more durable than that, right? She shrugs her shoulders coldly. How often do things go exactly as they should? Ooh, a bit of foreshadowing, perhaps. Distress suits. What are you interested in the suits for? Well, I know why, because even the Lego movie, they said when they made the Emmett in graphics, they scanned a real Lego to see like where natural scratches and things like that would be. I know why she wants a distress suit. That's not a problem. Put a lot of effort into your safety here. That's totally covering. Lie. We've never had that kind of accident that would rip a suit. Oh dear, we have. Which means we do have some distressed suits. Yeah, but this would be good. You know why they want them? Maybe to make a game here. And if you could be their in, right? That would be awesome. Okay. Diana's eyes light up. Oh, you're the best. I'm really curious to hear how those suits can go wrong. Andre scrunches his face in disgust. Come on, that's pretty much a fatal accident, right? I'd prefer to show a little more respect. Those were real people wearing those suits. Diana nods placatingly. Oh, yes, of course. Andres doesn't look like he's buying it. Time to move on. You get the attention of the group. Well, shall we continue? Let's put them away in their rooms. You show them each to their individual rooms. The quarters are pretty tight, but you're still proud to let them know that they each have their own private bathroom. Everyone pokes around their rooms, but James pops back out almost immediately and inundates you with questions. I'm really curious how all this is feasible. How do you get supplies like food and water? And how about the, waste? And I noticed that the beds were all singles. How do you accommodate couples? And what about you? Do you stay up here for years or do you rotate out in monthly shifts? He bounces a bit in place. I'm sure you get lots of people bugging you about stuff like this, but I just don't see how it's all practical. Answer everything truthfully. Answer truthfully, glossing over stickier details. That seems like it would be in the good interest of my job. Dodge the personal questions. Dodge everything. I'm going to go with answer truthfully, but, gloss it a bit. We all have to do that in life. You smile and take a deep breath. Well, we get regular shipments of food and grow or synthesize our own. We recycle the waste through plants and other natural processes. He raises an eyebrow at this subtle avoidance, but doesn't interrupt, so you continue. A few of the walls between rooms are retractable, allowing beds to join together and double the room size. He tilts his head. And what about you? What's your story? Is this a cool place to work or not? You hold up a finger of patience. We all spend several years here. I definitely enjoy it. You leave out the specifics that you've got 3 of your 5 years left up here. He whistles. Yeah, really? Gotta be honest, not sure I could do it, but more power to you. He looks around him as the rest of the tourists pile out of their respective rooms. Time to move on. You up the chipper to get everyone's attention. I'm sure you're all hungry, so let's have some real space food, You usher them into the brightly lit dining hall and then dramatically reach for a nearby switch. Normally, we keep this lit with only minimal accent lights. You'll see why in a second. You flip the lights off, and on cue, they all gasp at the glass ceiling above. In the darkness, the universe is beautifully lit, unlike anything you can see on Earth. They remain fixated on the spectacle for well over a minute. This is the first group you've had in a while to actually take the time to appreciate and enjoy the amazing view. You even get swept up yourself, wiping away a tear. Just when you thought you'd gotten used to it all, the sheer beauty of the universe teases out from you the first real smile you've had all morning. Okay, I can't even see the choices. Oh, it's lunchtime! That feels like a good stopping point, but we're only about 10 minutes in, so let's press on just a bit. You direct the guests to 2 large booth tables in the room. They divide up and you offer them all the Lunch Day 1 menus: Replimate pastes, freeze-dried cubes, food sticks, astronaut ice cream, and even Tang. You explain the options to the tourist. These are all selections based off of traditional spacefaring meals. Back then, they had to design meals that could be easily transported, stayed fresh for a long time, and didn't clog the air filters when consumed. These were the results. It's definitely a unique experience that I think none of you will forget. You don't understand how tourists eat the junk and actually enjoy it. Andre skeptically turns over his menu. And what's your favorite meal from this menu? Diana pipes up. Oh yes, I'm having a hard time deciding what's good. They all turn to you expectantly. Cubed nut paste mix? I don't know why, but this is really amusing me. What would the reaction be if you say that? You sell it as worth a try. Andre smiles broadly. Well, then you should join us. You deserve a break every now and again, don't you? Diana agrees. Oh yes, I'd actually enjoy your insight if you don't mind. Sit down for a meal with the designers. Technically, not breaking protocol, and you'd have the chance to ask them about the ending of Creatures. Sure, you breathe out in what you hope can be interpreted as a neutral, pleasant tone. There are 2 tables. Lead Andres pulls over programmer Saudry and artist Ren, while writer Diana and QA James exchange knowing grins and sit down at their own table. Whose do you join? Diana and James, with a seat reserved for the sick guy. Ugh. You know, I honestly feel like I really have taken to Andres and Saudry. I kind of like Ran too. I mean, just, you know, because I like people like that. But she's kind of prickly. But the 2 people that I seem to enjoy their dialogue the most are Diana and James. We'll just take our chances on the sick guy. Surely he won't come back. Cross your fingers. James cheerfully clarifies for you. She's going to pump you for a fresh perspective on her Creature Such as We story, one untainted by societal contact. Diana scowls good-naturedly at James. Aren't you curious? He doesn't miss a beat. Of course I'm curious. Wouldn't it be awesome for the game to be played on the moon? Casually mention you enjoyed it. Enthusiastically, casually mention that you beat it. Well, we didn't, I don't think. So let's go with casually mention that you enjoyed it. We're just gonna try to play it cool. Hold down the fangirl. Keep it inside. You don't want to appear too overeager. Diana pleasantly stares off into space. Humanity needs its stories, even out on the edge of civilization. She seems so touched that you haven't had the heart to explain just how commercialized the edge of civilization actually is. Perceptively enough, James does it for you. This is a tourist destination. It's not exactly as remote as they want you to think it is. He buries his face in the menu. Diana shrugs it off and then turns back to you. So tell me, how well did we suck you in? Have you finished it? Okay, Okay, I'm not ready to ask about the ending yet. Let's see if I can find out what she thinks about the ending. That, you know, like, wasn't it the coolest ending? Then I can be like, oh, yeah, you know. But I think I'm certainly not going to brag. Mention how you savored it. You put in hours and hours, but let's just go with, yeah, I did just finish it. James raises an eyebrow. That seems somewhat improbable. Diana hushes him. Well, we were coming today. Nothing off about that. Diana then turns to you directly and deliberately draws out, how about, why don't you tell us what you thought of the ending? Is there a way to save Elegy? That just makes it, you're not accusing anybody of anything. But you're totally sucked in. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. But before you can actually reply, see, it didn't matter what you said. A steward opens the door and leads Grant into the room. Oh, no. He takes a moment to be appropriately awed at the ceiling before noticing you waving him over to the empty space at your table. Don't wave, character. He sidles on with a sheepish smile and then warms up immediately. Hey, sorry about earlier. One shot fixed me up and now I'm starving. What's there to choose from? You push him a menu. Diana points to part of it. Trillian recommended the nuts. You wince. None of it's really good enough to recommend. James gives you a knowing wink at your discomfort. Grant buries his head, trying not to look disappointed at the selection. Oh, I'll have to think about it. Go ahead and continue your conversation. He grins sweetly and then returns to his options. James picks back up. Yes, so tell us, what were you saying about the ending? Okay, I'm going to go with my original thing. I guess this gives you a chance to take it back, right? But I'm going to go with the original. But, you know, he seems all right, other than the fact that we still don't know if he's part of the group. That was really weird. That aspect of it, I thought that was going to go somewhere. Is there a way to save Elegy? It just broke my heart when she died. Diana gives up fiddling with the water bag and turns to you. Well, it's definitely something that a lot of people are talking about, that ending. But I don't like to dictate to the players what was the right ending or the wrong ending, or what should have happened. I let them decide that. James contributes helpfully. You know, the whole story mode mechanic was specifically designed to help with that. You should have seen the test plans for that, too. The art, the mechanics, the level flow, all had to be tested multiple times on these progressively shortened level set pieces. Grant leans in thoughtfully, delighted to finally be able to hold a normal conversation. I've been thinking about that a lot, actually, the fans' reactions to the ending. Certainly, I have an interest in a financially successful game, but even I know that there's more to life than money. If we consider games as art, then does the art's meaning belong to the artist or the viewer? Ooh, he's the money guy. So, yeah. Oh gosh, this is like one of the greatest questions of all time. I mean, it's one of the big, grand, big questions. Or those of us who are artists and struggle with this, like, I just directed a play and, like, I was telling a very specific story that I wanted to tell. And it's great if you see other things in that, but since I was directing a classical play that's been done a million times, I wanted you to see my version. So in that sense, it left me with a sort of different feeling about the whole process. But it is ultimately about that interaction with the audience, right? Whether the viewer or the audience or the player or whatever. If they aren't experiencing anything, you know, if you did it to a blank room, if a tree falls in the forest, right? Maybe it's both equally. Let's try with both equally. Grant snorts out a laugh. How diplomatic of you. You might have a future as a corporate consultant. He winks at you. Lovely. James wrinkles his nose distastefully. They can't both be valid. They contradict. One of them has to be correct. I don't think that's true. Diana holds out her hands in a halting gesture. Oh, wait. She spits out rapid fire. Maybe the ability to maintain contradictions is art's true strength, like the impossible geometry of Lovecraft. It's real within the imagination, or perhaps beyond it. Reality can't do that. No. What I meant was that I feel like it's something that the artist puts in and something the viewer puts in, and that magical experience of those two things coming together is what makes art. So I don't think any of these are appropriate. So I'm just going to say you have a great point, because she's sort of getting at that. Grant crams in a freeze-dried tortilla wrap. Maybe, but it still has to be enjoyable. Most people aren't comfortable forming emotional attachments to inconsistent characters. They don't feel real. James cocks his head. That's true about characters feeling real. Fans vastly prefer characters with only one or two salient personality traits and don't like much deviation. You can't even change their costumes without a kerfuffle. Diana grins broadly. Well, now we're back to Grant's original question. Are the characters for the artist or for the viewer? Well, I mean, it depends. I see what he's saying. This is very specific about gaming, I would think. Not like theater or novels or even sculpture or photography or something like that. But that when you're dealing with games, like, we run into these characters very briefly. We kind of need to know them instinctually, immediately recognizable and all that. That's why the costumes and stuff are important. And having one or two personality traits, because that's really kind of all we can take in, because games require us to take in so many other things. Yeah. But at the same time, if the artist feels like, you want to change their costume or something, too complicated for a single answer? That's just way too diplomatic. I think that there's some way to find a happy medium. There just has to be, because art is about the magic of the artist and the viewer coming together, and the magical chemistry that happens right then, in that moment. They nod in agreement. You glance around and notice that the tourists are finishing up their food. You're stabbed by a quick moment of panic. You're wasting time chatting with clients. You should be working. The conversation's lull affords you an opportunity to resume duties. You reapply your professional facial configuration and cheerfully make your escape. Well, thanks for inviting me to join. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to go check on everyone's luggage, and we'll meet up after the free hour. And that's it for episode 3. One of the things that I just wanted to add before we leave that I'm really appreciating about this game is that I lived in Florida for 15 years, and being surrounded by tourists and tourist traps and gaudy things and the cheap food, that part about the can't believe that tourists eat this crap was so brilliant. Like, it was so, I wonder if the designer has ever lived, or if the writer has ever lived in a place like that, because it's absolutely soul-sucking to be in a tourist destination when you're not a tourist, when you're the local. There's just something unbelievably soul-sucking about that. And Florida has it double because it also has retirees. So basically everyone around you is on vacation or retired and doesn't have to work, and that's soul-sucking. And then, like you said, what the tourists will put up with or what they'll eat and stuff, it's just, yeah, it's remarkable. So I'm appreciating this on any number of levels. Plus, you got right to the heart of one of the great questions about art, and I love you for that. So I'm really enjoying this. I'll see you back here for episode 4. Be well.